Nation, I'm Sam here again from Aviary Books, and today I have for you a middle grade recommendations video. As you can see, I'm in a new location today. I'm trying to find some new time to film in our changing schedule, and my daughter's room was quiet. So that's where I am. We have her Winnie the Pooh shelf behind me, which I thought was completely appropriate for middle grade recommendations. So I kind of been thinking about which ones I wanted to recommend, maybe some I hadn't heard as much of, others just favorites of mine. And I just went up to my shelf and grabbed ones that I was feeling really passionate about today, or that I really enjoyed and wanted to share. So I do have some others. There was a long list when I first made the list of ones I wanted to share. So there may be more of these to come. But I hope that everyone is having a wonderful middle grade March and that you're reading some wonderful and lovely books. I myself have finished one that I really loved. It is definitely getting added to my favorites. And I'm working my way through a couple others. So yeah, let's just talk about the books. So the first one is one I have heard mentioned before, but I loved it so much. This is Where the Mountain Meets the Moon. So this is filled with folklore, which if you know me, you know I love mythology, folklore, fairy tales. This is basically about a young girl whose father loves to tell her stories, and then one day she sets off on a quest to kind of search for some of those stories and change her family's destiny or their fate. It also is a lot about family and resilience, and there are some beautiful illustrations throughout. This is just a lovely book and I highly recommend. The next one is The Blue Shoe, and this is by Roderick Townley and pictures by Mary Grandpre, and this is all about a blue shoe. The reason I loved this one so much is because it is kind of its own original fairy tale. There is some adventure in this, some lovely characters. And so this person named Hap, he gets labeled as a thief again, and he's just really trying to help someone. And anyway, he gets embroiled in this whole thing, and it's a lot of fun. It's got kind of that journey trope that I really enjoy. There's of course the small shoemaker shop, and it starts in a village, but of course there are some other adventures that happened outside of there. And this is just full of lots of fairy tale elements, and I thought that it was written in a similar vein, and I really enjoyed this one. Next is The Incredible Journey. This is a classic by Sheila Burnford and illustrated by Carl Berger. This is one I grew up knowing the story. I didn't read the book until I was an adult, but I used to love the movie that came out, Homeward. And this is very similar to the movie, and it's just lovely. It's basically a story about two dogs and a cat that get separated from their owners, and then they go on this amazing journey to get back to their loved ones. And I still love it today, and it's one I definitely will reread and share with my daughter. And if you're an animal lover and you enjoy middle grade, you should really give this one a chance. And it's not as sad as Where the Red Fern Grows, which I don't think I've read the whole thing, but I've definitely seen the movie, so it's not sad like that. Next is The Lacemaker and the Princess, and this is by Kimberly Brubaker Bradley. I know she's a very popular middle grade author on BookTube, but this is one of her books that I don't hear talked of nearly as much. It's all about how this young little girl gets basically saved and brought into the castle, and she's a lacemaker, and this is just a wonderful book about friendship, and the young girl kind of follows the family through their decline, and it's based on actual events, so historical fiction is another one of my loves, which I think is one reason that I really did love this. But if you're looking for a book that features female friendship in a middle grade, I would highly recommend this one. Next is Juniper by M.P. Koswalski. I loved this one. This is a spooky little book about a girl named Juniper, and her parents are normally a little offish, but they've been acting really strange. And it just kind of unfolds this like nightmarish children's scenario about a creature and a tree, and it just goes on from there. But it's all about her, and she doesn't give up, and she's going to save her family. And yeah, it's a little scary, but just enough, and it's really wonderful. I would highly recommend this during the fall season. But yeah, if you like middle grade and you like spooky, I would give this one a try. This is another lovely classic by Ibbotson, and this is A Journey to the River Sea. I loved this one. It has one of my favorite tropes in it, where someone has a change of circumstance and has to relocate at the beginning of the book, and it tells of her journey during that. So when she relocates, this young girl, she does relocate to the Amazon. And I love books with live out loud settings. The setting in this book is almost like another character itself. So of course, when she relocates, the family that she's supposed to be staying with aren't as welcoming as she had hoped, and she gets really, upset, and she's going through this. But then she stumbles upon a mystery, and that kind of takes over her life and the story, and it's just really lovely. I would highly recommend this one if you enjoy books with really big settings, and if you enjoy mysteries in middle grade. I thought this was so lovely, and I would highly recommend. Next is The Aviary by Kathleen Odell. And this one is another mystery and a little creepy. So again, same kind of thing as Juniper Berry. I would say they're kind of a similar feel. It's about 12-year-old Clara, and she lives in this crumbling down mansion, and everything seems to start falling apart. And then she starts to uncover all this stuff about the family that lived there, and also part of her past. And the ending for this book was just beautiful. I found it really touching. This is one that I would definitely reread. It's also another great one for fall time for middle grade, but I would recommend it anytime. It's a great book, but it just kind of has that darker, almost gothic feel to it. But yeah, it was lovely. It is uplifting at certain points, and I would highly recommend. And another classic one is Bridge to Terabithia, of course, by Katherine Paterson. And this was one where I had seen the movie before I read the book, and I still loved it. It's so worth it. You should really read the book if you haven't. This, of course, is a tearjerker, but it's really just about family and friendship, and about creating your own world. It's basically about these two kids who become friends, and they create their own fantasy world and what that looks like. And I believe it's based on some experiences that the author and their family had been through. But yeah, it's so good. Like, if you read middle grade and you haven't read this yet, you really should. But it is sad. I mean, this is sad. Yeah, it's like worse than Bambi, okay? Like, go into it knowing that. But it's beautiful too. And I really, really love this one. Next is an older story, and this one may be a little bit harder to find. I looked, and they're getting quite pricey, but I had to share it. It's one of the only books I've ever reread. I have an old library copy that I was able to get my hands on. And this is Why Have the Birds Stopped Singing by Zoa Sherburne. And this has, I think, it's not something I've personally experienced, but I did have a close friend of mine when I was growing up that suffered from epilepsy, and that is covered in this book. And that's not something you see a lot in children's books, so that's good to know. But it's basically a time travel book, and it's about this young lady, and she's a teenager, and she goes on this trip, and while on this trip, she stumbles into time travel, and she learns a lot about herself and about her family, and It's so good. I think, like, if you have a love for time travel, you'll appreciate this. It does kind of, I think it was written in the 70s, so it does kind of hold its age a little bit. But it's just so much fun. And, you know, if kids you think would like time travel, this might be a good one to start with. Like I said, I've reread this and I don't reread often, though I'm starting to, because I find I'm always worried about not finding all the books that I'm going to love in my life. But I've already found some I love, so why not experience those again? I do rewatch my favorite movies, right? Hello, Princess Bride, all the time. But yeah, anyway, this is lovely and I highly recommend it. And if you can find a copy, I know they're hard to find, but they are out there. I saw some, I think, on Ibbotson and eBay. They're getting pricey, but I just kind of, when I was looking for it, I just kind of waited until I found a good price came up. And it's just a used library book, but it's in good shape and the spine is intact, so I snatched it up. So yeah, I highly recommend. And finally, today I wanted to mention Cornelia Funke's Inkheart. This I read with my family. It was one of the read aloud books we did when my daughter was really small, and we were just kind of introducing her to books by reading aloud to her at night. And I just loved doing this with my family. My husband really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. And there has been a movie made of this one. The movie is not as good as the book, but it is fun. It does have some good actors in it. So yeah, this is about a family and it's about a father who can basically read characters out of the book, but he doesn't get to choose them. It just happens, and sometimes they're bad and things go from there. Yeah, there's a lot of spoilers in here, so I want to be careful about what I say. No spoilers, but it's lovely. I think if you love books, if you love fantasy, if you love fairy tales, you should give this one a try. I have also read the second book, which I really loved, and we're working on the third one as a family, and we'll see when we get through that. But they're kind of chunky for kids. So, but yeah, lovely. Highly recommend. So much fun. And those are all the middle grades I grabbed off my shelves to share with you today. I hope that you enjoy some of them if you get a chance to pick them up, or if you've read them and you enjoyed them, please let me know. I always love to talk about my favorite books with people. So yeah, I know I have a few new subscribers, so hello, I'm Sam. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, and if you're new, if you would subscribe, I would really appreciate that. It always makes my day. I know it's silly, right? We're all like looking at the numbers and things, but I think it just, it makes me excited to be part of the community. Not that I need to feel justified, but it just feels like it's more of an active thing when people are responding to you. So yeah, so I enjoy it. But yeah, anyway, I hope that you're all doing well. Thanks so much for being here with me today. Farewell for now. Bye-bye.